What I'd like to share with you today is a short sequence of remedial exercises that I do to help me build a better connection between my hip, my knee, and my ankle. This shows up for me in movements that I do both on and off the yoga mat. An example of this might be in a high lunge, where instead of my knee pointing straight forward, it drops inward to the side. Maybe that happens to you, or maybe you've seen that happen with one of your students, and you're curious about why that is and what can be done about it. And so this short sequence will need a couple of props. And so a yoga block and a half cylinder. If you don't have a yoga block, you can stand on books, anything that's going to elevate your foot just a little bit. And if you don't have a half foam cylinder, you can roll up a blanket or your yoga mat and start from there. So the first thing that we're going to do is called a calf stretch. I'm going to show it from two angles. And so the first is about finding the alignment of the knee. And so as I bring my forefoot, the front of my foot, onto the highest part of the dome, I'm going to drop my heel bone down. Then bend my knee and turn my thigh out so that my knee is pointing forward, and then start to straighten my legs. That builds a connection here from my heel to my hip. After I bring my pelvis upright, I'm going to step forward a little bit until I feel like I'm getting a purposeful stretch in my calf. And so for this one, you can put on a timer or count your breath. You can stay here for as long as you like. And this will stretch out the muscles at the back of your leg. Those muscles, for me, get tight really easily because I like to walk and cycle. And those are both movement patterns that repeatedly move my calf in a way that creates a shortening or tightening of the muscle. If you're a lover of high-heeled footwear, this can also really help balance out the tendency for the calf to be in a shortened position while you're wearing those shoes. Okay, I'm going to step off, so I'm going to bend my knee, step off, and go to the other side. Bringing the ball of my foot up onto the dome, or if you're working with the blanket, the highest part of the rolled up blanket. Bend my knee, turn it so that it's facing forward, and then start to straighten my knee, bring my pelvis upright, and perhaps walk a bit forward with my right foot. You might notice when you do this stretch that there's a different sensation on one side compared with the other. And for me, this is really evident because on my left side, I have a couple of long-standing injuries that really benefit from stretching out in the calf stretch. I first learned this from biomechanist Katie Bowman, and she recommends doing the calf stretch for 11 hours a day, which means there's no limit. And if you can build in a way to stretch out your calves throughout your day, you'll receive a lot of benefit in how you move throughout your day, all the way from your feet to your head. And then moving on to that next exercise, I'm going to set the cylinder off to the side and get out the block. And so with the block, I'm going to step onto it so that my heel bone is forward at the edge of the block. So I've got really good solid support for my heel. My toes are going to come over the front. I'm going to step my left foot next to my right foot and then do the same action again. Turning my thigh out so my knee points forward. And I want to feel like I'm pressing into my heel as I engage my hip and come up onto my left toes. Now, even here, this might be a great place to basically experiment with one leg supporting you, the toes coming off very lightly. And if you can feel steady here, take your foot off completely, Hold your balance here for as long as you feel comfortable. Weight back into your heels. You're trying to keep the knee pointing forward. And if you can lift up and down, you want to feel like the lift, the movement is happening from your right hip. So as I exhale, I'm going to push down and my left foot comes up. I'm not lifting from this side. I'm pushing from this side. And then release slowly so it becomes an eccentric action. And then contract and release. And contract and release. And contract and release. And then after doing a few of those, come off and just notice what sensations are present on the standing leg side. Then we'll go to the second side. Once again, my heel is forward of the block. My toes are hanging over the front. I'm going to step my right foot beside the block. Turn my thigh so that my knee points forward. And I'm thinking about the knee joint, not the kneecap. My kneecap veers off to the side a little bit. And so it distracts me from the angle. I want my whole knee pointing forward. Then I'm going to come up onto the ball of my right foot and keeping that external rotation in my thigh, take my weight into the heel as I stand fully on my left leg. Two sides might be quite different. They are for me with my injuries. And possibly you can lift up, hold steady here for as long as you're comfortable, feeling the connection of action in your hip, stability through your knee, and steadiness through your ankle and foot. And then if you want to start the listing action, start it with an awareness of your left hip. And as you exhale from the hip, push down so that your right hip comes up. And then lengthen and contract and lengthen and contract and lengthen and contract and lengthen. And do that as many times as you did on the other side. And when you're ready to, you step off and just set your block aside. You can also use the block for the calf stretch too. All right, so this last one is about building, for me, a better connection between what's going on my hip and my knee so that I avoid this tendency, however subtle, for my knee to drop in. And so starting from Tadasana or mountain pose, I'm going to take my weight over, I'm going to go to my affected side. So I'm going to take my weight over to my left leg and do the same pelvic lift action. I'm going to lift my right foot and then bend my knee. Now, with an awareness of what's going on in my left thigh, I'm going to bend my left knee and have it point straight forward and then come back up. You might notice that for me it's pretty wobbly because I have some arthritis in my knee that has created a Baker's cyst. And so I have been trying to strengthen my knee and the connection from my knee to my hip to my ankle so that my knee has a little bit more support and is a little bit less vulnerable. Okay. And after however many of those that you want to do, somewhere between 5 and 10 is a good place to start. Come on back to mountain pose where feet hip joint distance apart. Take your weight over onto your right leg, hover your left foot. And then bend your knee. And with that awareness of keeping your knee bending forward, come down and up. And if it's very, very quiet in here, you can actually hear the sound of my knee making a lot of noise as I do this exercise. All right, so it's a little shaky on both sides, which is why I need to do these exercises to help build the connection between the stability I have here and the stability I have in my knee and my ankle. All three working together here. And so you can do as many or as few repetitions of each exercise as you wish, and you can repeat that several times during the day. I've already done this once today, so this is my second go through. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.